What are the benefits of coming out? For transgender folks, this allows them to live authentically and for others to see them for who they truly are. Hi, I'm Dr. Jack Bartel, and I'm a licensed clinical psychologist specializing in LGBTQ healthcare. And in my last video, I went over helpful tips, including a pros and cons list for coming out as trans. Today, I'll go over decisional balance and demonstrate what it might look like when you're making your own. We'll also go over some common questions you might be asked. Now, I wrote mine down by hand because that's how I prefer to do things. Clearly not an artist, so that just goes to show if you're not an artist, you too can make one. But in all honesty, you can make this on your phone, you can make it on a computer. It's just whatever's going to be most easy and accessible for you, which is going to look different for everybody. But when we're making a decisional balance, you'll see that there's 4 main boxes that we're working with. The top 2 look at benefits, the bottom 2 look at costs. And so in this case, we wrote coming out and not coming out at the top. And that's because we're going to look at what the benefits and costs of coming out are, but we're also going to look at the other side of what benefits and costs of not coming out are. So you'll see some examples just of benefits of coming out would be things like finally being able to be you, making changes you want to see. Benefits of not coming out might be avoiding conflict. Costs of coming out would be others reacting poorly or maybe not understanding. And then costs of not coming out would be continuing to feel hopeless and maybe just not like yourself. So either way, you can do this however you want, but this is just an example and it may also not necessarily fit your specific situation. But like I said, just an example so you can get an idea of what this might look like and give it a try. Now that we've covered some tips for coming out, let's focus a little bit more on something everybody really worries and dreads, the questions. Below are some common questions you might be asked after coming out as trans. What's the difference between being gay and transgender? So gender is one's internal knowledge of being masculine, feminine, both, or neither, where sexual orientation refers to who somebody is attracted to. Gender and sexual orientation aren't the same. Are you planning to have the surgery? There are a lot of different surgeries that transgender people can have, and not all people choose to. Some people do, some people don't. Either way, it's important to keep in mind that surgery should never ever be used as a prerequisite for someone being transgender, and a lot of transgender folks aren't going to want to talk to you about their bodies. Are you going to start hormones? Some people start hormones and others don't. Just like with surgery, it's important to remember that hormones should never be used as a prerequisite for being transgender. And some people may or may not feel comfortable talking to you about this. When did you know? This answer will be person specific, but it's important to remember that no matter when anybody comes out or when they realize they're transgender, it doesn't make them any more or less transgender than anybody else. Are you sure? The rate of transgender folks regretting steps they take during their transition is significantly low. And this question really implies doubt and disbelief of what the person in front of you is really saying. Instead, try asking questions that are supportive in nature, like, how can I support you? Or what can I do to help you meet your goals? Aren't children too young to know? Transequality.org has a bunch of wonderful answers to questions just like this with a lot of great information that can help you better understand. But the boiled down answer to this is no. Children are not too young to know they're transgender. In fact, most children know information about their gender from a really early age. Doesn't being non-binary mean you're not sure or you're confused? There are many people who come out as non-binary and stay non-binary. Asking this question is rooted in the school of thought that one must pick one, meaning there are only 2 genders, when in fact there aren't. And there are many cultures around the world that celebrate and honor non-binary people. You'll always be a man or woman to me. When you make statements like this to a transgender or non-binary person, you're invalidating and discrediting everything they've just shared and told you. While you may not necessarily understand where they're coming from or know a lot about transgender and non-binary folks, it's important to approach them with support and attempt to do your best to understand.